The Wall Street Journal is reporting that for the first time, more than half of the states in the US are requiring students to pay more in tuition for state schools and universities compared to what the government is contributing to their tuition. So these, again, are government funded, they're not private schools. However, historically, the government has stepped in and provided enough funding so their portion of the tuition actually outweighed what the students pay for their tuition. But again, for the first time, students are paying more in tuition to attend these schools compared to what the government is contributing. The State Higher Education Executive Officers Association looked into this, and what they found was that all of these states are using the funding in order to pay for their state Medicaid programs and also for state employees' retirement and healthcare services, but they have not increased taxes to account for all of these things. So the lawmakers refuse to pay the taxes or refuse to raise the taxes, and guess what happens? We have the emergence of regressive taxes, and in this case, tuition serves as a regressive tax. So to give you an example of how much this is impacting students, we're talking about averages here, okay? Prices are actually more expensive on a case-by-case basis, but the average tuition for a 4-year public college or university was about $6,572 in 2017, and that was up from $4,784 in 2008. So some might think, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but think about it. These are public colleges and universities. These are supposed to be the affordable option for kids who grew up in an underprivileged socioeconomic status.
Or just general families that have stresses, economic stresses, such that you want your kid to go to a state school. I mean, it's a public institution. A lot of people move to various states because the systems there in terms of higher education are better than they might be in the state that they're currently residing. It's a real problem, and this higher education and the fact that the costs keep escalating to the point that it's not accessible to people, it creates the divide. It creates the divide that we already see between the rich and the not rich, and I'll just call it that, but we all know what I'm saying. That gets wider and wider, and this is one more way it gets wider because the cost of public education, as Anna says, it's not look, private education isn't really accessible to any of us. I mean, the loans you have to take out to get into these schools in the private, the world of private education, they're insane. I mean, you can get into it, but you're going to graduate with a lot of debt. Here, when it's public education, that is to say, underwritten by those of us who live in the state, it should be accessible to all of us who live in the state. That's a real crisis.
It is a crisis because education, especially higher education, serves as a way for people to pull themselves out of poverty. And anyone on the right who makes these arguments about picking yourself up by the bootstraps or pulling yourself by the bootstraps, is that the statement?
Pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Right.
I mean, that's such a disingenuous statement when you consider what they have done to affordable education for people. So I'll give you an example. Public spending per student actually declined 24% between 2008 and 2012. Appropriations began ticking back up in 2012, but their recovery has been uneven across the country, which is why you have about half of the states, not contributing enough. They're not even contributing an equal amount as the students. The students are contributing way more toward their tuition at these state schools, at these public state schools. In 2016, students in 24 states paid more than half of the cost of their education at public schools. In 2017, through a combination of budget cuts and tuition hikes, students in Kentucky, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Mississippi, I'm seeing a trend here, also passed the mark. So we can see which states prioritize their students when it comes to this issue. And student loan debt doesn't simply impact the lives of the students who carry that debt, it impacts our economy as a whole. These are people who are now tethered to a debt that they can never get rid of, even in the case of bankruptcy, and they're not able to participate in the economy the same way generations prior to them were able to. They're not able to purchase homes. They're not able to, develop their lives the way that their parents were able to do so. And it's just really sad to see this happen.
I don't mean to sound like, the super lib line here, but I'm just going to say it. The people who benefit from what Anna's talking about, which is that student loan debt, are Donald Trump and all of his buddies. I mean, again, sorry for what is the typical line, the problem is Donald Trump, but it is. Those student loan companies, they're the ones who are benefiting. And as we've seen, they're increasing their ability to tax those loans. They've changed the entire way that structure is working and the way that they can go after you. And they can be brutal, frankly, in going after you in these student loans. So those student loan companies, they're the ones who are benefiting from this. But to see it happening with public education, public higher education, it's heartbreaking, because that is the way that most of us should be able to get a pass into higher education.
Absolutely, and it's not just private lenders. Obviously, private lenders charge these high interest rates that keep these students in debt for a very long period of time, in some cases for the rest of their lives. But the federal government also gives out these student loans with lower interest rates, but the interest rates are considerably higher than what the banks received when they got that bailout money. So, I mean, it's just something to think about. What are we prioritizing in this country? It doesn't seem to be the future of the country. It doesn't seem to be helping to educate those who want to educate themselves, who want to be productive members of society. It seems as though, actions are taken over and over again to make it less possible for people to, create a great life for themselves, to create that American dream for themselves.
To give them access to education. Yeah. Shouldn't everyone have access to education? We're the richest country in the world, and we can't get access to education to all of the people who live here. It's just wrong.
If you like this video, bless your heart. We got a lot more where that came from. We do a full show every day, Monday through Friday. Come enjoy it ad-free by becoming a member. tytnetwork.com/join.